Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please note the exits in the room. Smoking is not permitted on school grounds, and please mute or turn off your cell phones. Thank you. First, we have the PTA update.
Okay, so it's been kind of a busy month or so. March was our park month, and we had a variety of activities. Started off with the glow dance. We moved to the community center campus. There's a lot of tweaks we're going to make for next year, but it did work well. We had a lot of people come. It was very busy. The kids had a great time. So we're going to probably move forward next year using the same facility, but we do have to make some, tweaks with how we run it. We had the Adirondack Thunder fundraiser, which was a bit of a flop. We did end up owing money, but we had some families participate, and it was a fun night out for the ones that did come. So I'm not sure if we'll do that one again. They did offer us an incentive for next year if we do sign on again, so we're going to discuss that and moving forward. We did try the middle school, high school family night, and again, that didn't go very well. But we had one family show up within the last half hour, and it was okay. It was something we just wanted to try, and didn't go well. So we'll probably not move forward with another one of those in the near future. On a more positive note, the elementary directed draw, which was part of the park activities, was a big success. We had a lot of kids and families come. We had Laura Segura was in charge of that. She read them a book going with the theme of adventure and reading. And then they did 3 directed draw pictures, and all the kids had a great time. They loved showing off their drawings afterwards. And they were asking for another one. So we might go ahead and plan another one of those, probably not this year, but maybe a second one next year before park. And then our Guttville skate night was the last one for the year. We brought in over 200 students, so very well attended, as it always is. And then looking forward, we're going to be holding our first craft fair for the PTA on Saturday, and we just found out that is a very small track meet that day. So parking's going to be an issue, but we're hoping that we still are able to do, fairly well. I mean, we do have a full gym full of vendors, and we'll have all of our PTA gear on sale there. So if you need anything or want anything, please spread the word. We're going to be having signs on campus directing them towards the craft fair, hoping to draw people in from the track meet, but I'm hoping that people who want to come for the craft fair are able to get into it. And then state testing, we will be providing snacks for the middle school. We did discuss providing them for the elementary, but decided that since most of the students come with a snack that day anyway, we'll provide mints and gum upon teacher request, and then we'll just provide snacks for the middle school students testing. And there are, I believe, 3 chunks of time in the next few weeks that'll take place. We are planning Teacher Appreciation Day, and with the same theme that Ms. Tolman has brought through with the Wicked, we're going to continue on with that. And we have planned on one day we're going to be doing dirty drinks or sodas with a popcorn bar, and then on the next day it's going to be like a rainbow of snacks, just pulling in the Wicked theme. We'll be doing that through all 3 schools and the bus garage. And then we'll be recognizing Bus Driver Appreciation Day. I believe it's April 28th. I'm not sure what we're doing for that yet. It'll just be something small for the bus driver appreciation. We're currently working on planning Mission Day, middle school field day, and then the yearbooks are still in the works. And we are planning ice cream social on the night of the budget meeting on the 19th. I just have to determine where that will be on campus. Any questions?
So the Adirondack Thunder game, that was a Wednesday night, right? So I think, at least a couple of people that I had talked to, and this maybe, I never make it over to the meetings, the PTA. I think a couple folks were deterred just because it was a Wednesday night and it was a little late.
And I think how that happened, because person that was in charge of it, it was so late in their scheduling that it was the only date they had available. But if we decide to do it next year, I think she said that they have their schedule planned out in July. So if we tell them we want it
Book it early.
earlier, they promised us like a 50-50 night. The night we did, it was only Chuck-a-Puck, and we only raised about $300 that night. But he said, I'm sorry, if we do decide to sign on, they'll have a weekend day, but it'd also be a 50-50 night.
Okay.
So we just have to decide if we want to take the chance of losing money again or not.
May have better turnout. I know
Yeah.
that deterred at least a couple of people I had.
Right. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you.
Oh, and we do have scholarships. I got all the essays in, so those will be decided on and returned hopefully by the next meeting on the 10th.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have public input on agenda items. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We're about to do the public comment part of our meeting, but first a quick reminder. As a board, we believe it's essential to hear your thoughts and concerns and to make sure you have time to discuss your feedback and get input from the administration. We will not be able to respond to your comments tonight. We'll follow up with an answer at our next meeting or via email from the appropriate staff member. Please keep in mind that it is the board's policy that we don't discuss student or personnel issues during this time. We take those concerns very seriously, and we ask that you follow the proper administrative channels to resolve it. Finally, please be respectful of everyone. Let's make sure everyone has a chance to speak without interruption, and when you speak, please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to do so. And I'll open the floor for any comments from the public. Anybody would like to address the board? Go ahead.
We're on timer this time.
Good, so we can calibrate.
Yes. Synchronize.
On your start.
3, 2, 1. Yep. So I've been going over the, I
Name
submitted,
and address.
I'm sorry, Jonathan Burkover, 40 Stratton Lane, Stillwater. So I've been going over the fiscal year 2020 to 2025 budgets that I got a full request for. And what was really weird for me was that on the end of it, the total amount paid for those fiscal years was $128,683,000 and some odd cents. There's a variance though for amount liquidated of $99,077,000, which includes a variance of being unfavorable for $29,605,000, which indicates a negative variance, meaning that we either overspent or certain budget constraints weren't met or projects went over budget and so on. So that's just to put that out there for everybody in the audience to know. Going through the budget, which is very, very weird and wonky going from PDF to Excel. It's been taking me a long time for that. We do credit ratings. We all have our own credit ratings that we have to do personally for ourselves for loans and somewhat. But it was really strange how for 4 fiscal years from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, the school budget spent $49,512 to Standard & Poor's Financials to have their credit rating reviewed for the school, for the district. In 2022, it was $4,500, not too bad. 2023 was $13,537. In 2020, it was $12,000. And in 2021, it was $19,475. So I don't know what kind of credit ratings that the school budget is paying for in regards to that. I guess we're going to see what's happening with the budget here in a second, but I just wanted to bring that up. There's a lot of weird charges on there. What's really killing the school district, of course, and across New York State is all the trusts and healthcare costs, retirement benefits, all that stuff that's coming up with teachers and the assembly and the administration that is presenting a big problem for the district. So that's where a lot of the money goes to. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
I yield my 41 seconds.
Anyone else?
Very good.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have the consent agenda items. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items exclusive of board minutes of 3/25/26, Board of Education meeting and the CSD recommendations.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have the superintendent's section.
Hello all. I'll be brief. Good to get back to school, seeing all the happy faces. That's adults and children. Was able to go down to the elementary school. I'm not sure if the kids had the energy because they missed school and they were happy to be back, or was it just the beautiful weather, they couldn't wait for recess. But either way, it was good. Not a little bit of a downtime, so not a ton to report out other than our senior class landed in Orlando, Florida today. 26 students, I think 4 chaperones. Got the text at 10:49 from Mr. Kinney saying safely landed. Which is a short period of time for, that trip. You don't want to be spent in an airport or whatever, so that was great. I believe they come home Sunday. A little bit later in the day, I think they have a plan to go to, one of the parks that day. And I was going to throw a little plug out there. It's already been done for Saturday. If you have nothing to do, campus will be buzzing. I think 20 schools are here. There probably won't be a ton of parking. I know Ms. Tolman was working with PTA to try to resolve that problem with the parking for the craft fair. So it might be, the rain may be advantageous where people look for some shelter and maybe they'll go in and spend some money in the craft fair. So if you have nothing to do, Saturday, good day to come on campus. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the business administrator.
Thank you. So before the budget update, I just wanted to briefly talk about 2 things. Before the break week, food service had its every 6-month health inspection, and very happy to report there were no health hazards found. That's a testament to the hard work that the food service staff does every day, and certainly every student and staff that purchases lunch is appreciative of the hard work that they do. As Superintendent Mariano just mentioned, last week was spring break, but not a week off for 12-month staff. The maintenance department worked hard over the break week, getting buildings ready, deep cleaning spaces. Buses were inspected and serviced, and office staff continued to work, getting everything ready for the final stretch of the school year. So busy time for 12-month staff as well. So now to our presentation. This is the 2026-2027 budget update. For those in attendance at the Finance Committee meetings, it will appear very similar, but for anyone not at those meetings, it will be an informative, hopefully, presentation on the budget. I might be the face of the budget, right, as the business administrator. But it's really the culmination of numerous meetings with board members, department heads, supervisors, administrators, and certainly thoughtful of the process that we have without a lot of people sitting in play. 2025-2026, we budgeted $31,707,356. Next year, we have projected appropriations of $32,273,515. That's a spending increase of $566,159, or 1.79%. A spending increase of 1.79% in the times that we live in is an exceptionally conservative budget, and one that really reflects the administration's commitment to keeping the school appropriately staffed and maintained despite the increase in costs. So what are some highlights? Faculty and staff, increased salaries, increased costs for health insurance, increased costs with other employee benefits. FICA increases every year as people get paid more. This budget maintains all the district programs and activities, and it includes debt service payments, which is phase 1 of our project as well. I pulled out a couple interesting budget lines, well, I think they're interesting at least. In 24-25, we spent $193,194 on fuel oil. So far this year, we just got a delivery today, we've spent $282,433. So year over year, it's about $90,000 more in oil. In 24-25, we spent $141,788 in building insurance. This year it was $172,457. In 24-25, we spent to date, not the whole year, but we spent $3,551,271 on medical insurance. This year, we've spent $3,847,004. So while these are just three particular budget lines, it's really representative of the budget as a whole. No different than a household, it's very expensive to run buildings. These buildings are only getting older and require more maintenance, and increased costs are certainly something that we are struggling with, not unlike everybody at home and every other school as well. We're planning for the purchase of 3 new buses. Importantly, and it's bolded, they are not electric. These are gas and diesel buses. They are not electric. They are conventional fuel buses. We continue to invest in our facilities with a planned capital outlay project. We do plan to reduce our reliance on BOCES programs and bring services in-house. And we do have a new special ed classroom added, which is consistent with the student needs. The capital outlay project is something that we've talked about a little bit at the finance committee as something that could potentially be cut out of the budget. But with 83% of that project being paid for in building aid the following year from New York State, it's really advantageous to the district to take advantage of a high building aid ratio and continue to maintain these buildings. The special ed classroom is driven by student needs. It's a 3 to 5 special ed room at the elementary school. All current athletic teams are funded in the budget. FFA advisor and the agriculture program remains funded. We added slots in the career technical education program at BOCES, and we continue to invest in students with our STEAM program at the elementary school. So what do we not know? Well, we don't know what our actual aid is going to be next year because New York State has not completed their budget. Budget technically for New York State is due April 1st. However, they just passed their 3rd extender, and rumors now are that it may continue into May, being an unknown for the school. We don't know what salaries will be next year as negotiations continue, and we don't know the status of certain federal grants. At the federal level, there has been a desire to consolidate grants and turn some of them into block grants. What that would mean for us in Stillwater or any other public school, we just don't know yet. We're hopeful that they remain similarly funded and similarly structured, but the truth is that we just don't know what we can't control. What are some of our challenges? Health insurance and other employee benefits continues to challenge us and add financial strain. We're seeing significant increases in electricity, and we just don't know fuel, oil, gasoline, and diesel costs. We're hopeful that those costs go down and that fuel decreases for next year, but we don't know. We can't plan it. The capital project phase 1 is added into this budget, but there's no building aid associated with it. So there is always a lag, which adds to a little bit of the budget challenge. So next year, health insurance costs are 37.57% in the district. In 21-22, we spent $2,796,456, and to date we've spent $3,847,004. So health insurance continues to be a challenging cost for us to control. And this is an interesting little statistic. In 26-27, so the budget that we're talking about, 86% of the budget is salaries, benefits, BOCES, and debt payments. So basically what that means is 14% of the budget pays for pens, pencils, fuel, oil, new buses, electricity, copy paper, garbage, everything else. So you can kind of see where the costs are and where they lie within the budget. And this is just an example. A $50,000 a year teacher, which is really in between step 3 and step 4, has FICA that costs $3,825, which is 7.65% of the salary. TRS, which this year is 10.11%. If that individual was on a family medical insurance plan, that would cost $31,651, and employee dental would be $575. So a $50,000 teacher could conceivably cost the district $91,060 in salary and benefits. Several years ago, it was a standard practice to budget 35% for fringe benefits. It's 45% now due to the increase in health insurance costs. So what have we done to help control spending and reduce the budgetary impact? Positions have been eliminated through attrition. And certainly nobody wanted to see these positions go. They add operational difficulties and customer service that people are used to perhaps at the bus garage when there was a director and assistant director with only one full-time employee. Now callback time may be a little bit delayed. Camera footage may not get reviewed within as quickly as it was. But these are all positions that could be eliminated without actually reducing a person. They were vacant positions. So the tax cap calculation is as follows. And basically, the budget is within the calculated property tax cap with a projected levy increase of 6.6%. That is a significant percentage, not unlike neighboring schools. And unlike some of the other local schools, this is an under cap levy increase, which is certainly good for taxpayers in the district as well. So where do we get our money from? We have the tax levy, which is below cap. Our pilot continues to decline, which adds to the budgetary and operational challenges that we face. And we are budgeting a net decrease in state aid simply for the reason that we just don't know what we're anticipating, and we are budgeting conservatively given the unknowns that we face. We're projecting a tax rate increase of 4.5% for individual properties in the district, but we don't know the final number yet because the tax rolls are not finalized by towns until July, and equalization rates set by New York State are not released until this summer. So this is where the 6-year number comes in. Over the course of many years, we've consistently been under our tax cap. Particularly 22-23, the limit was 4.65%, and we went out with a 2.99% increase. And in 23-24, the limit was 7.82%, but we went out with 4.48%. So the average increase over the last 6 years has been 4.67% on the tax levy, not necessarily the impact on individual taxpayers. That depends on the individual town that the person lives in. In 6 school years, the budget has increased 12.38%, which averages to 2.6% a year. So we have not experienced the significant budget increases that other local schools have, and this district has done a solid job of keeping the budget under control and minimizing impacts to taxpayers. So this is a chart. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it any bigger without cutting off part of it. But this is a chart that basically shows the levy per 1,000 to full value. So from left to right, school districts are Cambridge, Greenwich, Hoosick Valley, Mechanicville, Schuylerville, South Glens Falls, Stillwater, and Waterford. So being that we're second from the right, we are the lowest full value tax rate per 1,000 in this area. And basically the formula is just the tax levy divided by the full value. This is a calculation from the Office of the State Comptroller that's used to accurately show different school levy impacts because equalization rates are different all across towns. There has to be a common measure to show the actual impact. So that calculation is done by OSC. So from here, later on the agenda is we'll ask the board to adopt the proposed budget. The day after we submit the property tax report card, the budget hearing is scheduled for May 6th, which is not a regularly scheduled board meeting day. The reason being a board budget hearing has to be 7 to 14 days prior to the vote. We have a board meeting on the 13th, which is 6 days before the vote. The uniform vote date across New York State is May 19th, and polls will be open from noon, 9 p.m. Questions from the board?
Can you speak a little about, just to get the one-on-one levels, it gets a little confusing. 2% increase in spending equals
Budget increase 6.62%. We see the pilot dropping by 33.33%. We see our reduction in state aid that we plan for, and we're ultimately relying less on fund balance. So this year's budget planned 2.25 million in fund balance. Next year we plan to use 1.475 in fund balance. The challenge with fund balance, whether it's unappropriated fund balance or the use of a reserve, once that money is gone, that money is gone. And now that we're seeing state aid is not keeping up with our expenses, the reduced reliance on fund balance will set us on a more sustainable path. Moving forward, that does not rely on exhausting our reserves.
And you point out previously that basically that the pilot is the payment of little taxes from Global Founders and other similar development projects. And so we've reaped the benefits of that in the past with the ability to keep the taxes low. And with that decreasing schedule, we've made more than we would have with the normal tax rate to those organizations. It's brought in more revenue, correct? And so it's kept the taxes low, but the schedule is coming upon us in addition to the increased cost is the reason, primary drivers for the large increased numbers.
It is. So the way the pilot was structured back in 2010, 2012, it was really front loaded.
Mhm.
So the money was quick and it came fast and it was significant at first, and over the years it continues to decline.
Mhm.
And we're in the declining portion of it, which we rely on. And ultimately, the Global Foundries, and there's a couple very small pilots, are paying more in their pilot than they would in the property taxes. They do that for a variety of reasons that don't really impact us.
And it levels out in the near future to a steady, so it stops decreasing, correct?
That's the question that I had, because I thought it leveled out at 800,000. I had asked Mike to, talk to the assessor in Malta and see exactly where we're gonna level out at.
And it does level out in the near future. Unfortunately, in the pilot and in the actual agreement, it specifies the assessment that they'll use for Malta to level out, but it does not specify Stillwater. So
Yeah.
Stillwater's assessment can change, whereas Malta's is
Right.
fixed.
Yeah,
So-
because we're waiting for them to build that other fab up there, and if they ever do that, then that will be an influx of money for us, but at this point, we started, I think, with almost $2 million coming from that in the beginning.
Yeah, when I started, it was nearly 2 million, and I think before I got here, it was over 2 million. And now we're looking at 600,000 maximum.
Is it accurate or a good analogy to say that the tax levy is basically the gross impact, right, on the revenue side? And I guess where I'm getting at with this question is, what's the real world impact to the taxpayers in this district per thousand of their assessment? What percentage is that?
We're projecting a 4.5% rate increase, which is going to be dependent on the individual town and their assessment process and their equalization rate. But that's what we're thinking that will probably be. Of course, not sure until the final rolls are
Right,
done
right.
and the rates are set.
And we have over the years kept our tax rate, not tax levy, our tax rate down, specifically so that we wouldn't have that. And of course, we had Rick Timms come in and told us that that's not probably the best plan. Because
Okay, put us in a position where.
it's put us in a position where, we probably should have gone out with a little bit more tax increases every year to alleviate that reliance on fund balance, because the more fund balance you use.
Well, there's a counter argument to that, right? Like we couldn't, because we can't, if we had assessed that and paid more taxes previously, we couldn't put it away. That's the problem we have with the reserves, right? And so we either would have spent it so we've kept costs low. We've done a good job historically, but the trend of the pattern for the pilot and with the increase in cost, the schedule of our revenues is just coming to bear, so.
It is, and it's really the perfect storm, right? Because the pilot decreases, New York State is giving a minimum 1% aid increase, and costs are going through the roof. And the only opportunity we have is
Right.
to change the tax levy. We have gone outside the box thinking, opening special ed slots for tuition paying schools. who are in the process. We've had conversations with multiple schools about what that would look like and the individual students, but we're really limited in where we can make money.
And that probably comes with costs and additional headaches too, right? Like additional
Definitely
costs
additional
and
headaches.
logistics and
Yeah.
support.
Yeah, depending on student
Yeah.
needs.
Yeah, relying on that fund balance, and I say this every time, is not a good thing to do, especially at the amount that we were at. So,
And historically, it never mattered. We appropriated fund balance and we did use it.
yeah,
But again, unfortunately, with the high costs that we're experiencing, our costs increased faster than our revenues and it caught up and, using fund balance the way we have is not sustainable.
right.
And this budget starts, it does not finish, but it starts that process of moving away from a high reliance on fund balance, kind of more right sizing the revenue side of the budget.
That bar graph that you showed where we're comparatively one of the lowest rates, the other districts, do they have a projected rate out? Like, could we project that graph for next year? Are we still as favorably positioned? Or are we coming up even?
We can't project it for next year because levies aren't set yet. But yeah, the graph would renew next year.
We anticipate that the other districts will be similarly facing the same issues and setbacks in revenues and,
Many are.
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's every single district,
Mhm.
but many face the same fiscal challenges and pressures that we do. Yeah, multiple schools. I mean, I know of 3 off the top of my head that are attempting to exceed the X cap.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I saw some interesting emails this week, neighboring school districts putting out publicly already 8 or 9, if not more %.
Any other questions? Comments?
Thanks for all the work you put into this, Mike.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
thank you.
Okay, moving on. Okay. Our student board member's not here tonight, so we can skip that. On personnel, I need a motion to accept the retirement of Catherine Ryan as secretary effective June 30th, 2026. Ms. Ryan has been in the district for almost 27 years, and we wish her well in her retirement.
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to appoint Rachel Barnett and Kayla Dyer for the positions of the Summer Enrichment Academy Coordinators through August 1st, 2026, for a total stipend of $6,000 to be split between Ms. Barnett, I'm sorry, and Mrs. Dyer at $3,000 each.
So moved.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to appoint Jonathan Rychek as a provisional chief information officer, IT specialist, effective for the terms of the attached agreement, effective 11/2026. Questions, comments?
Those of you who don't know Jonathan, sitting right here. Welcome aboard.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now,
Welcome
Keep them all
aboard.
on board. I need a motion to appoint following. No, any budget. Yeah. Oh, it's something. Click on
What is it?
it. This is the election office. Election workers. Okay, all right. All right, a motion to appoint the following individuals as election workers for the annual budget vote on May 19th, 2026. Renee Price, Chief Election Inspector, election workers Luann Tetrell, Ellen Scarkelli, and Dee Westcott. The hourly rate for election workers is $16 an hour.
so moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, on to the action items. I need a motion to adopt the proposed budget for 26-27.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to adopt the property tax report card for 26-27.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agreement between the Stillwater Central School District and Freeman Project Management Services, LLC, as attached.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. All right, we have the Finance Committee report out.
So we had a finance committee meeting on March 25th, and a lot of this is going to sound very repetitive because Mike covered it wonderfully. But we began the meeting with a review of the fund balance. And then since the previous meeting, we did discuss that the deficit is projected as a little bit lower. So that's always nice to see. We also discussed the Assembly and Senate one house budgets. The state budget has not been filed yet, so those are not official yet, but we discussed some of the positives and negatives within that. One of the favorable changes would be the capital outlay project going from 100,000 to 250,000. One of the less favorable changes would be mandatory UPK program, which could potentially mean we need to add classrooms and transportation, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mike put together this wonderful presentation that you saw. And so we discussed the budget in depth, and I won't bore anyone with the details because we just had plenty of that. But one thing that I did want to note is we kept in the capital project as well as the buses, and that is because of the overall benefit that we would see from the state aid the following year. So that is something that we kept in there. We also had the opportunity to review the newsletter, the budget newsletter from the 90s, and we found out that Mike was not alive then. But that was interesting to see, and I think we had increasing staff specifically in special ed, despite declining student numbers. So other than that, I don't need to touch on much else. We talked about eliminating the positions that are through attrition, so we don't have to remove anybody. And then also the projected levy increase of 6.6, and that would correlate with a projected rate increase of 4.5. We haven't talked about the next meeting yet, so I think we can schedule that out maybe for the hour prior to one of our next meetings.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions, concerns? No? Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have board items of interest. Would anybody like to say anything? Have anything to bring forward?
I know we've talked about this in the past about having booster club representation, kind of like updates. So I'd like to add that to like our, reach out to them and see if they could each come or do like an update just like a year end, just kind of see what they've done. We hear about the great stuff that the PTA and STA do, but you know, the booster clubs are so absolutely important along those lines as well. So I'd like to hear from those before the end of the school year. And I did talk to somebody from the track team, and they'd like to come on to the next board meeting on the 29th to just kind of give us an update about what they've been up to.
If we send those requests to Renee, maybe you can coordinate getting those on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
I had the privilege to attend the written presentation dinner for the state championship girls team. I think that was after our last meeting, or did you mention it at the last meeting? It was like right after our last meeting, I believe, right? So, all privately funded, funds raised in the community, beautiful rings for our state champion soccer girls, and everyone had a great time. When Sarah put on a wonderful dinner, and it was very much appreciated. It was good event.
Great. Anything else?
I heard that it was a very fun day in the elementary school today with the box builder. That was really cool. I heard there were about 80 second graders in attendance, and it was quite an adventure. So it was their favorite. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So I'm excited to hear about that.
Anything else? Okay, I have a couple things. It's that time of year again. It's time for us to do Joe's evaluation. So Josh is the head of that committee, and I talked to Josh today, and I also talked to Joe today. Joe is going to be putting his information into the super eval system, and Josh will coordinate all that, and get everybody, remind everybody to get their input and fill that out in that super eval system. He will pull all that together, and then we'll have an executive session to go over it with Joe and move forward with that and start doing his goals and things for next year. I also talked to Joe today about, and one of our policies is that the administrators are evaluated and that is shared with the board. So once he is done with that, he is going to let me know, and then we will schedule an executive session where we will go over that information. And while we're here tonight, it's next week, but I want to wish Renee Administrative Professionals Day, which is next Wednesday. So thank her for all the work that she does on behalf of the board. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that's all I have. Anybody else have anything else? Okay. All right. Next item is the public input on non-agenda items. I'm not going to reread the whole few, so if anybody else would like to address the board? No? Okay, thank you all for attending tonight. I would like to make a motion that we go into executive session for SDA negotiations. And do we have personnel with them?
Not really.
No, okay. So just SDA negotiations.
Second.
Next time.
Second motion? Okay, second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
Are we staying here or going to the next room?
Probably.
Going to the next room?
So,